Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Coach, and today I'm going to be just casting a little pub here. This is a ranked all picked match. Had a friend send this in. Should be interesting to watch. Don't really know anything about it. I know which team won, and I know generally how long the game is going to be, but otherwise don't really know too much. We're going to be getting into the draft right away as we're going to have the Venomancer and the Legion Commander picked up. Otherwise, like I said, just going to be a ranked match. This is just going up on YouTube. I'm not actually streaming this. So it'll be just a little bit more, not necessarily casual, but just something a little bit more fun. I will be hopefully streaming tomorrow, which is going to be uh, July July 6th, I believe. And as I'm hoping to get this up today on July 5th, so July 6th, yeah. But going into the draft, continuing forward, we're going to have Phantom Assassin being picked up on the Dire, Bristleback picking up on the Radiant. My guess is, given this is a pub, that's probably going to be a Legion Commander Jungle. Mirana getting picked up on the Radiant side. Necro. We selected Necro, a hero we don't really see a lot in pub play. Actually, in pubs, he's got a really high win rate. In competitive play, we don't see him. Other way around. But a hero that, kind of like Omni Knight, if you know how to deal with him, not great. If you know what you're doing. Against Necro, he can get shut down if you're playing with teammates that aren't really paying attention, don't know how to build Glimmer Cape, you're not playing with the Dazzle, Oracle, Shadow Demon, who are really paying attention. Necrophos can really flourish. Also, heals are pretty good in pubs, help keep your teammates up. But also, depending on what level of pub you're playing in, people don't really know how to deal with Heartstop Aurora. Sadist, also a pretty good spell, keeping you topped off through the landing phase. But I believe it's the Radiant's turn to pick. They're going to choose the Faceless Void, which leads me to believe that might be a Bristleback 1 position. I think that's where some teams like running him. There's kind of a debate now between him and Void have a similar debate on if they should be off laners or if they should be safe laners. We'll have to see what the choice is here from the Radiant side. As the Dire still need to pick. It looks like they're going to need a support. My guess is it's probably a Necrophos in the mid lane. Gonna be a Lina picked up. Not sure where that's going. Could also be an off-lane Necro. Is the other alternative. We see that on occasion. Which would leave Lina in the mid. Could also be a Lina support. You never know. I don't see too much Lina nowadays, but given they don't really have good setup for her, I would be kind of surprised if that's a support. You never can tell. Radiant still need a little bit hard to tell on the Radiant side because Mirana probably a core given what we've seen lately. And the Spirit Breaker, yeah, that's probably going to be a mid Mirana. Spirit Breaker roaming. And Razor going to be the final choice here, so I have no idea what these lanes are going to look like. As go through the lineups really quick before we get going into the game. AR3Z is going to be playing the Razor. Singing Meat going to be picking up the Legion Commander. That is an interesting item build. Delta is going to be playing the Phantom Assassin. Cookie, we picked up on the Lina, and Death DX is going to be playing the Necrophos. Meanwhile, on the Radiant side, Rambles is going to be holding on to the Faceless Void. He is walking towards the mid lane, so maybe that's a mid Faceless Void. We have Brimmeister on the Venomancer, along with Jonah Be Good on the Bristleback, Cat playing the Spirit Breaker, and Jesus Christ, the one and only, playing Mirana.
30 seconds to battle.
Looks like we might have a little bit of a skirmish here on the top side for this level 1 rune. If Brimmeister can get a really good Poison Nova off, or a Venomous Gale rather, I think they actually have a chance to take this level 1. Legion Commander though does have press the attack, so would be able to purge off the slow from the Gale. Void also going to come up as well, so Arrow is going to come out, is going to connect. Razor is going to be the first target here. Necro, or Legion and Necro both picking it up, so 2 runes going the way of the Radiance, or the Dire side. Meat taking quite a lot of damage here, especially from the Quill Spray. And gonna be good. One more should be enough to do it. 2 seconds, 1 second, it will go down. Delta also taking a lot of damage here. As one more Quill Spray gonna connect. Brimmeister though, not quite enough to pick up Delta. ARZ out of position now though. Not enough mana for the arrow. Is available. Is off cooldown, but not quite enough mana, like I said. As ARZ going to be able to get away. But I went for no exchange there. Delta living by the skin of his teeth. His Bristleback does go down for a 1-for-1 exchange. That being said, Radiant picking up or losing both level 1 runes, as Death DX was able to pick up one on his own. And so far we are seeing what looks like an aggressive tri-lane here from the Radiant side. Very interesting, very risky though. If they can shut down the Razor, he won't really scale that well. Is oftentimes seen as a mech carrier, maybe go Ags or something like that. Something a little bit more risky or more damage oriented. Mid lane will also be very interesting though, as we're going to have Rambles on the Faceless Void up against Delta, and I feel like this should be a pretty even matchup. I don't think there's really any kill potential here. Delta going to avoid the arrow. But yeah, Bristleback also should be able to get quite a lot out of this safe lane. As Jonah just going to be able to pick up a deny here. Is 1-for-1. And then of course Legion Commander in the jungle. Just going to be hammering away, trying to choke point jungle and get that level 6. We'll have to see. Singing Meat going Blink Dagger should actually probably go Silver Edge this game to help deal with the Bristleback. That'll be my expectation, but Legion Commander is a very good pick, as it forces the Bristle to turn around. Not going to be getting the passive procs as often. Speaking of which, John has taken quite a bit of damage here. Should be able to heal himself back up fairly decently. We'll have to see if he goes for a Vanguard, Crimson Guard, what his first purchase is going to look like. But overall, pretty slow laning phase, not too surprising, as this mid lane probably going to be a wash. Most likely Poor Man's Shield coming out for Rambles. Yeah, like I said, going to be pretty slow. Death. He's getting quite a few last hits though, 9 last hits, 2 denies. Up against the Spirit Breaker, who's getting a little bit done, but certainly you have to give this to the Dire side if they're going to be giving Necrophos free farm. He'll be able to get the Ags up, maybe get a Refresher, Dagon, Blink Dagger, who knows. Necrophos is pretty flexible build pass, could also pick up a mech as the other alternative, we'll have to see. Meanwhile, Cat taking a bit of damage. Unfortunate single pull here from Jesus is going to have the lane shove out once again. But mid lane, Ramble's actually taking quite a bit of damage, although Delta is out of mana as a result. So we'll have to see if Rambles looks to pop the salve and heal back up to full. John also sitting pretty low on health, very little mana. Bristleback can struggle in terms of mana in the beginning of the games. Oftentimes why you see a little bit of mana regen in his kit. Something like a Shiva's Guard wouldn't be too awful. But we'll have to see as we progress forward. A lot of this I think is going to be on how efficiently the Legion Commander can get going. If Singing Meat can get off to a good start, can get an early Blink Dagger or Shadow Blade, Cookie is going to get charged here and should be a fairly invisible one to the Dire side. As no, he's actually going to run right under the tower. Meanwhile, Cookie is invisible actually, and it's going to be a bit hard for Radiant to pick this up, as looks like we are going to see both sides just agree to back off. Cookie did actually go for a bottle, which is interesting considering this is the support, and does not have a point in LSA yet. So a bit of a different skill build here. Let's see what items Lena looks to pick up if she goes for a more aggressive build path. Straight for an Ags or something like that, or She should most likely go for something like a Yule Scepter or a Aether Lens, but who knows. As of right now, the Dire side is very heavily out farming the Radiant. Look at Legion Commander leading the way, but that's a little bit skewed considering they're mostly jungle creeps. Delta at 16 last hits. Necrophos sitting at 20 last hits. Cookie gonna take a little bit of harass here. Brandmeister does have the Gale available. LSA is going to miss. AR gonna throw out the chain link, static link, and is gonna take a lot of damage from the Quill Spray actually, and might be able to pick up the Razor here. As no, he is going to live by the skin of his teeth once again. Bristleback is going to fall, but there is going to be a return kill onto the Lina. So a 2-for-2 exchange. Bristleback is going to fall. ARZ barely able to make his way out. Is going to tank go up though and try to heal up. So Arrow does miss, and as a result he'll probably be surprised. Actually mid lane, Ramble's able to pick up one. And then back to the top lane. Jesus does have Leap available. And Arrow is available in 3 seconds. But it's looking like he's going to be caught out of position here. Nice Leap is going to dodge the LSA, and that should be enough to get him home. As he's actually going to look to pull the creep wave into the neutral camps. Cookie, though, really wants to find this Mirana. Arrow is going to miss. Cookie does have LSA available once again. Could look to turn on Jesus, but no, LSA is only going to connect on Janna. As we're going to see a TP in. Here comes Delta. Is going to throw out one dagger, and Christ is going to go down as Cookie looks to turn around as well. Does still have LSA available. As Delta throws the dagger onto the Venomancer this time. Deep Strike is available in 3 seconds. ARZ is going to come from the backside though. Brim is going to fall. Not quite level 6 available on the Legion Commander, as Delta going to throw out the dagger once again. Does have Leap Strike, but it is not quite in range to hit Jonah. Overwhelming odds is going to connect again, but the speed boost not quite enough to get her in a range. As Cookie is going to have to turn around. While Death did rotate up, so bit of a weird rotation here from Necrophos. And Delta going to throw out another dagger. Ramble's taking a little bit of damage. But DX not going to have enough mana now to throw out the ultimate. Looks like he is going to go Dagon Rush. So a bit of a greedier path, not one I'm a huge fan of. But you never know. Cookie, LSA is going to connect. Arrow also connects onto the Lina, as Rambles does not have Chronosphere. Is going to time walk though, and Cookie is now in a very dangerous position. 1 goo, 2 goo, and should go down. Jesus on the backside is going to fall, but Jonah not able to get off another one. And here comes the first duel onto Rambles, but not quite enough damage. Time walk is going to save his life for now. Jonah is also going to be able to find his way out. Press the attack, or overwhelming odds rather. Does connect onto the Bristleback, but Chronosphere finally comes out, and that's going to put Stinging Meat in a very bad position. He will fall. That's going to be a double kill for Rambles, as Cat, also on the backside, is probably going to go down to the right click. Yes, he does fall, so Death able to pick up one, and that's going to be a 2-for-1 exchange, this time in favor of the Radiant. And Rambles able to get the first bash here. Death in a bit of a weird position here. Jesus gonna try and throw out the arrow, maybe is going to miss, and that should lead to the Necrophos getting away. He's gonna throw out the Death Pulse, and Jesus almost lives. Actually probably would have died to another tower shot, but in the end should be okay here, as ultimately pretty even exchange. Rambles also in a bit of a weird position here, and Delta with the crit on the dagger is gonna pick up the Mirana. Rambles gonna get jumped on once again, and we are gonna see the time dilation here as Bara is gonna charge forward. Rambles doesn't want to bait it out, wants to see if he can get the Phantom Assassin to press up a little bit, and it looks like he will. That being said though, Death on the backside is gonna get hit up by the charge, and Rambles is now in a very precarious position here, as he will almost certainly go down to the Death Bolt. No, he is actually barely gonna live. Meanwhile, Cat on the backside able to pick up the Spirit Breaker, and Death is not going to be in a position to find that kill onto the Spirit Breaker or the Void, who lives thanks to the Time Walk. Good spell. Barely able to escape the Death Pulse. So, meanwhile, Janna is going to be going to town on the top lane. Razor is here as well, and he might be in a position to get picked up if Venomancer throws out the Gale. But instead, they're just going to look to put damage onto the T1 top. Just go for the bit of a safer play. As it looks like we are going to see Ring of Aquila coming out on Brimmeister. Not too surprising, considering he is an Agi support. Arrow actually going to connect on an AR3Z, and that should be a kill, almost certainly. Gale is going to connect. Jonah just needs one more. Yep, he's going to pick it up. Actually, no, does go to the Mirana. Meanwhile, Cat, bottom lane, barely able to find his way out, as the duo was ready and waiting, but not in a position to pick that kill up. Bramble's going to get cycled on here. Co4ch does have LSA ready and waiting. He's finally going to skill up Laguna Blade, as Co4ch waiting, wants to see if maybe Delta can get off a crit dagger, and whiffs the LSA and the Dragon Slave, so Rambles is going to be able to find his way out. A little bit of a missed opportunity, but what you gonna do? Top lane, Jonah, still just sitting in lane. Looks like he is going to go for the Vanguard, would be my assumption. Does pick up the Ring of Health. But overall, Midas actually going to be the first pickup by Legion Commander.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
So, bit of a greedier pickup, and also buys the Tome. So, not sure how I feel about this. Is kind of sapping away all the resources from the Dire side, but maybe it'll pay off in the end. As Necrophos is leading in terms of net worth here. Christ is going to dodge the LSA. Co4ch is going to get charged by the Spearbreaker once again. Jesus does have the arrow ready and waiting. Meanwhile, on the backside, Singing Meat is in a position, could look to pick up the dual win here. As Rambles could be brought down, overwhelming odds. Gonna do a little bit of damage, still only level 1 though. And 12-minute rune will spawn. Let's see if Singing Meat can pick up a good one. This is only gonna be a bounty though. Co4ch once again missing on the LSA. Jesus Christ. Leaps forward, and Co4ch doesn't have enough mana actually for the Laguna Blade, so he will almost certainly fall. Mirana actually does go down to the plasma field here, as Jonah trying to turn a ham. Does pick up the double kill, and Singing Meat not quite in range. Once again, not going to be able to get the duel off, is looking to turn. Maybe try and pick up the Venomancer instead, but Cat is going to rotate through. Does have the Nether Strike available, could look to pick up the Legion Commander. But not going to be able to have enough damage. No, he actually is going to charge forward. Nether Strike is caught, one bash, and Singing Meat is going to actually get the dual win thanks to the Reaper's Scythe. Barely able to pick that up. Rambles, though, does come forward, does have the Chronosphere, is going to be able to catch one. Singing Meat barely going to go down as Rambles does a great job of avoiding the LSA. Co4ch going to dodge the arrow. And Rambles now caught in a bit of a weird position here. He is running through the Dire jungle. Laguna Blade gonna come though, pick up the Venomancer. Jesus Christ, once again in a weird spot, is gonna be able to leap forward, and Death might be able to pick him up with the aura. No, actually one more right click is gonna settle it. And Delta does push forward. Good time dilation, might be able enough to get him out here, as Jonah is also gonna rotate through. Delta going to town though. One bash does come through. LSA does connect. Delta throws out another dagger, wants to continue forward. Actually, Blink strikes out onto the Lina, as we are going to see another charge coming through. Jonah looks to press forward, though, and is now stuck between two Dire heroes. As Co4ch is going to just throw out a ward here. Cat on the backside might actually be able to pick up Delta here. As she does have a point in blur, she is going to be able to leap strike out. Meanwhile, Jonah continuing to press forward. And Death is going to be caught by the arrow here, so Jonah should be alright. That being said, Jesus is going to push forward. Does have the Starstorm and the Leap available. Cat is going to connect with the charge. Nether Strike also going to go through. Starstorm is going to not bring him down quite yet, but Cat is going to pick it up with the Spearbreaker. So overall, a very hectic fight here. As I believe that's just a 2 for no exchange. Actually, no, a 3 for 4 exchange. It's again very chaotic. As Necrophos has dropped a couple times here and is still surprisingly leading the way in terms of net worth, but was left on his own. AR3Z looking like he's going to go for a Sanjin Yasha here as he pokes away at the Spearbreaker. Meanwhile, Jesus going to get a high ground ward, so help make sure he can defend that area. Make sure that the Legion Commander can't rotate through unseen. And Singing Me really wants to get off a duel here, as she is going to get hit with the Gale. Press the attack does come through, and that'll give her the cleanse that she needs. That being said, Delta, I believe, got hit up by an arrow, as Venomous Gale, or Poison Nova, does come through, picks up 2. That's going to be a 2 for 0 exchange, and I believe that's going to lead to a tower push here, although Lena could be caught out by Rambles, is going to throw out the LSA. Chronosphere is ready. She did look to throw it out. One bash is going to connect, and Chronosphere is going to finally be thrown out. That should be a dead Lena. Yep, she will be brought down by the Faceless Void. That being said, Razor in the top lane is going to continue to push down, takes out the T1 top. So, although the Radiant are leading in terms of kills, struggling to get a foothold on this match in terms of taking towers. For some reason, I can't open up the net worth chart. It's a little bit upsetting. But, regardless, Rambles does have the Vlads ready. Cat making a very deep charge here. Does have the Nether Strike and also has the Invis, which he is going to pop. Mirana pops hers as well. And this time, Radiant are going to be able to pick up a tower here. As Cat, bit in no man's land, is going to get hit with the Death Pulse. He will fall, most likely on the next one. But that being said, he is going to charge out the bottom side. And Jonah is next in line to be hit up. Is going to get hit with the dagger. The slow is going to come through. But Bristleback is so tanky right now with the Vanguard. Rambles also going to get a stun. Legion Commander, duel comes out. And with the Scythe, that'll be a kill here as another duel wind comes out. Jonah, also caught in a weird position, is going to be brought down. Brim does miss his Q. Venomous Gale slow is not going to connect. Arrow comes through, does connect on a Delta, but this is just a Venomancer. He will not live. That's going to be a double kill for Singing Meat, as he is still going for his next item. I believe that's going to be a Vlad's, potentially? I'll have to see. As Razor does have the Yasha finished. And Dire are going to look to push onto the T2. Singing Meat does get hit up by the arrow, but should be okay. Once the stun wears off, is going to press the attack and look to trade aggro. Bristleback is going to come through and does complete the teleport here as ARZ throws out the static link. But Bristleback doesn't really care about that, so he's just going to kind of stand his ground. Arrow barely misses onto the Necrophos. As Cat charge does come through, it's actually going to connect onto the Legion Commander. Does stun up one, but Cat in a very bad position is going to get brought down by the Dagon. Now Jonah also in a bit of a weird position here. Rambles does have Chronosphere ready to go. But Jesus, with no mana, is going to look to back out here. Singing Meat does have duel. Nice LSA does connect onto 2 here. Laguna Blade is going to bring down 1. As Singing Meat wants to get in range, but doesn't even have enough mana for duel, even if he were to get there. So it's just going to settle for 2 kills. Delta so far. Moving towards his first item, which is going to most likely be a Desolator at this point. Bit of an interesting pickup, but a lot of minus armor here on the side of the Dire with that pickup. As Razor also does a little bit of minus armor on his own. And the Desolator certainly will help with that cause. As we are going to see the Murano come out. And we'll have to see what they can make of this. Rambles does have Chronosphere, might be able to catch 2 here. As Cookie, probably going to be the target. Jesus does miss the arrow. But 1 bash is probably going to be enough to seal here. As yeah, she's going to actually Chrono. And Cookie does go down. Singing Meat most likely next in line. But Void is going to get blown up almost immediately. Quill Spray is going to be enough to bring down another one, but he will almost certainly die as well. So that's going to be a double kill. And a 2 for 2 exchange. Burmeister now out of position. Looks like he is going to go for the Aghanim Scepter, but needs to try and get away from this first. Venomous Gale is ready, is going to throw it out. But with their Scythe coming down, barely will survive, so no added bonus onto the death timer, but still going to go down in the end. As Necrophos finishes up his Dagon, I believe it's Dagon 2, is also going for the Aghanim Scepter. AR3Z. Trying to push onto the mid T1. Well, bottom lane. Cat, most likely gonna be the target here, as he will get the charge out. Does not get bashed by Roshan, and actually runs into death on the way out. So far, a little bit more map control on the side of the Dire, but the Radiant still hanging in there, still have the ability to scale a little bit. Mirana going for the Aghanim Scepter, that'll help her increase her farm exponentially. Delta also going to be completing his next item pretty soon, and when that comes online, he should be hitting pretty hard. Razor has the Sanjayasha complete, so he'll be able to help with the kiting. And at this point, they really just need a way to help bring down the Bristleback, as he is still pretty tanky. Looks like he is going to go for a pipe here, and just looking to beef up his teammates. Cat going to be charging into the bottom lane. Accidentally misclicked, is not going to be quite going on the Phantom Assassin, but is going to collide with one, and now he's going to get slowed down by the dagger. Cat in a weird position here. Nether Strike is going to come out, and Cat finally able to get the invis here, as Death going to go down. Cookie rather getting the kill with the Dragon Slave, and this is going to lead to a T2 push, as Delta continuing to push forward. Gonna blink strike through. This should be a T2 going down, and I don't think they want to continue these TPs here. Actually, a 3-man Chronosphere is going to be able to set up for a team fight nicely. Cookie does have Laguna Blade, not anymore, does not have enough mana here. As Time Dilation comes through, Brimmaster able to get off a very nice Poison Nova. Will go down. He'll be down for 65 seconds. Ramble's trying to bring down the Phantom Assassin, but is going to go down on his own. 50 seconds until he's back up. John possibly going to rotate through, might be able to help out in the situation here, but in a 1v3 situation, not sure what he's going to be able to do here. As the arrow does miss, once again, John pushing through, is spotted by a ward, but Cookie not going to do too much to try and pick that kill up, so I'm going to see another reset. Wouldn't be a surprise to see the Dire side look to turn their attention to the big guy, see if they can pick up the Aegis, as they certainly have the damage at this point, especially once Phantom Assassin picks up the Desolator, which is complete. So it should be pretty easy pickings if that is where they want to turn their attention. Looks like potential mechanism pickup for AR3Z. A little bit surprising he didn't rush it, but I think this will be an okay timing. Most likely going to be maybe 25 minutes, 27 minutes if they don't fight. As, wow, actually that was a lot faster than I anticipated. Does already have the Hedress and the Buckler, so most likely looking like a 25-minute mechanism, which, considering it is your second item, is probably okay. Probably not too late. I think if it had gone more like a 30-minute mechanism, might have been too late at that point. But in this timing window, I think it should work out. Lena also done with the Yules in a moment. Actually, I think she has enough for the recipe. Might need a little bit more, maybe 100 more gold before that is complete. Cat, we did see pick up the Lothar as a Shadow Blade. Is going to be an interesting choice. Could look to pick that up onto the Razor for the removing of the debuff. But for now, that might just stay as a casual Shadow Blade. We'll have to see. Meanwhile, Venomancer is continuing nicely onto the Aghanim Scepter. Still needs 1,500 gold. Mid lane, Cat. Very overextended here, is almost certainly, yep, I believe that was a Scythe kill, yep. As he's now down for 60 seconds, and very overzealous from the Spirit Breaker. And Necrophos is still way ahead of the curve here in terms of his itemization. Looks like that's actually going to be an Octarine core, by the way, instead of a Aghanim Scepter. And does have Dagon 3, so is continuing to push forward on that. While seeing me with the double damage rune, is going to turn her attention to Roshan. Going to get bashed up. And if he can take this on his own, that'd be pretty nice. Delta, meanwhile. We'll have to see what the next item is for her. Wouldn't be surprised to see a BKB, although it's not the most effective against this Radiant side. Nether Strike, Bashes, all go through BKB. Chronosphere, also pretty decent. So maybe that's not the pickup. Maybe you go for something a little bit more aggressive. Could opt for something a little bit more tank oriented, like a drum here as another possibility. Delta also going to leap into the pit. And Singing Meat still working hard on it. Does have 34 dual damage already, which is pretty good considering she came out of the jungle. Another invis going to be popped by the Radiant. But they're not going to be able to make too much of this. Arrow is going to connect onto one. Delta going to try and push forward. No detection though. And walks right into the Bristleback here. Rambles is going to be able to get a 3-man Chronosphere. Very well done. As the Venomous Gale and Poison Nova do come through. Death is going to go down instantly. As actually he's going to be able to pick up one on the backside. And Rambles with the Time Walk is going to go back to basically full health. Delta now next in line going to be hit up with the Poison Goo. And is going to go down. Double kill for Jesus Christ here. Cat now with the charge. Singing Meat going to get hit up with another strike. AR's 3Z is next in line. He will go down. Pops the mechanism, but that's only going to do so much. He falls once again. Singing Meat next in line. Going to get bashed up by Rambles. Maybe going to get slowed down by the Nasal Goo here. As the time dilation also going to slow her down. That's going to be another one. That's a full team wipe going the way of the Radiant side. And Rambles leading his team onto the T2. This could be a potential T3 here, as Lina is going to be the only one up, but instead, looks like they want to play it a little bit more passively. And overall, a pretty devastating team fight for this Dire side, who were looking like they were going to pull the game away. But instead, game should be back to about even now after that fight. Cat sitting on 1.5k. Bristleback looks like he's going to go for the Aghanim Scepter. A bit of an interesting choice. Cat going to get stunned up. Death still no Scythe. Was able to pick up the Venomancer with it, so still on cooldown. But Rambles is going to get thrown up in the air. Cookie. LSA does connect and gets brought down. It's Void. Super gritty play. Does pay for it. But John going to pick up a Haste Rune. And I don't know how I feel about the Aghanim Scepter pickup here. Could also be an Octarine Core, I guess. But most likely, just going to be the Aghanim Scepter. Wouldn't have been surprised to see a pipe, since he did pick up the cloak here. Delta, able to get the big crit off, and John gonna have to haste himself out. Dagger does connect once again. Delta needs the Blink Strike, is not quite in range to do so. And that means the Bristleback will find his way to safety here. That being said, Brimmeister next in line going to get hit up with the Dagger and the Blink Strike. John going to throw out the Nasal Goo and he will be safe. Meanwhile, Christ, slightly out of position here, is going to get lifted up. Dust does come through. And the dual win onto Singing Meat, who immediately blows up the Mirana. 50 seconds, no buyback. As the Moonlight Shadow, not enough to save her in the situation. Looks like we are going to see a Battle Fury here for Delta, as he's looking for the big combo crits. Meanwhile, Rambles does have a 3-man Chronosphere here. Could look to throw it out. Death going to get hit up with the time dilation. John be good, taking quite a bit of damage here, and Poison Nova completely whiffs. So I'll have to see if the Dire side look to engage here. Blink Dagger is ready on the Legion Commander, and that could be the sign to go once the duel is ready and waiting. But it looks like we're going to see them back off once again. Razor wants to go ahead and cover the T1 bottom, make sure that doesn't fall, maintain as much tower advantage as they can. And so we're going to see another reset here, as Legion going to pick up a bit more of a defensive item here. Death is going to be brought down almost certainly. Scythe not... wow, Scythe is enough to bring down the Spirit Breaker. Delta, though, could be charged. Or rather, could be slowed down and chased, but John going to go ahead and turn around to reset once again. And we are going to see a 1-for-1 exchange, actually in favor of the Radiant. So able to pick up the Necrophos, who is the top net worth. And while the Radiant are behind, I feel like they're definitely starting to bring this back. Jesus Christ, picking up another farming item. So really what we're seeing here is just a lot of greed coming out on this Radiant side, and because there's decently greedy teams on both sides. No one's really getting punished for it. This definitely has the potential to go long. And unfortunately, I think the Dire actually still have an advantage. Necrophos, obviously, Reaper Scythe is a pretty good spell in the late game, down for, 200, 100 seconds, 120 seconds, with no buyback come, the 40, 50, 60 minute mark. That can really end a game. Can at least get you megas if it's on the right target. So wouldn't be surprised to see this game drag out and potentially go onto the Dire side. As Razor moving towards the BKB is going to have that up decently soon. Probably will need another couple minutes. Legion Commander though, surprised she didn't go for the Blade Mail, as she will pick up a Bounty Rune. Could look to try and pick up John, be good. But their paths are just going to miss each other. And Legion is going to back off. Cookie almost bringing down Brimmaster, but overextends and probably will fall as a result. A little bit of a overkill on the Chronosphere there, but really want to make sure that kill came through. John Be Good going invisible right under a ward here, and they're going to try and burn everything on the illusion here, but Singing Meat is going to try and get off a dual win on somebody. Rambles is going to be the target, but this actually might be a dual win for the Faceless Void, as the BKB is going to save him. Yes, he is going to get the dual win. Death is also looking like he will fall. As he does, Cat looking to try and find someone as well. AR3Z is going to try and walk his way out, and with the bonus speed he will, but a 3-for-0 exchange as the BKB really coming through in the clutch here for Rambles, who is able to make the most of it and get the dual win. So 18 damage onto the Faceless Void, and if they're not careful, that could really come back to bite them. As the Dire could slowly be letting this game fall out of their grasp. As another T1 is going to fall. This will be all of the T1s going down. John Be Good. Looks like it is going to be the Octarine core here, as the Soul Booster is complete. Again, a bit of an interesting choice here. Really wants to tank up in these fights, wants to have the bonus stats instead of going for the magic resist. John Be Good. Gonna get slowed down though by the Razor passive. And after taking about half of his health from the tower, John Be Good is going to back out. Battle Fury now complete on Delta. But Spearbreaker is charging, is going to cancel it though. And with the Vlads being picked up, I think that's 2 Vlads, so a little bit of a miscommunication on the Radiant side here. As double Vlads, Lifesteal does not proc twice. And Void looking like he's going to go for the Aghanim Scepter. Not sure I agree with this one, only on the fact that I'm not sure there's too much damage that the Radiant side really can throw into the Chrono. You got the Quill Spray, but that's going to happen regardless. You got, Starstorm, I guess, and maybe the Veno wards, but that's kind of it. This Moonlight Shadow, once again, is going to be popped. Meat really wants to wait and see if he can find the Aegis. And if Jesus is able to get the Starstorm off, is connect, and Blink is no longer available here. Rambles is going to be able to get the Chronosphere. Christ walks into it and does pop the BKB. Duel not going to be thrown out actually, and Cat charging through. Rambles is going to be the target once again, and I believe he's actually going to go down. Yes, winner on the Dire side here, as Jesus is going to fall to the Reaper Scythe. Veno is lifted up into the air, does have the Dragon Lance, so not really putting that bonus attack range to use, but AR3Z looking to try and find his way out. Death trying to give chase onto the Bristleback here, who is going to try and possibly find a way to TP out. He's going to go onto the low ground though, and Singing Meat is going to collide with him. So John Be Good really in a sticky situation here. The lift is going to come through. Cookie with the LSA does connect. Singing Meat needs to get a bunch of damage down onto the Bristleback here. Dagon blocked by the Bristleback passive here. And I just don't know if they have enough damage to bring down this tank. Cat is going to get the charge through the blink forward. And now Cat's really in no man's land. Cookie does miss We got 2 Death Pulses actually chasing the Bristleback here. As I don't actually know if this is going to be enough to kill him. And almost certainly will fall, yes, enough damage comes through on the Dagon. Death picking it up. The Blade Mail finally. And this game is just turning into an absolute slugfest, 27-31. I believe that the Radiant are still behind. As the Dire continue to push forward, Necrophos is continuing to be a monster. I thought he had Naganims. I could be wrong. No, I picked up the Blade Mail. I swear to God he had an Aghanim's. Yeah, I must be hallucinating. This Phantom Assassin is going to pick up the Spear Breaker. Does have a BKB now complete. And like I said, not the most ideal game for a BKB just because there's so much that goes through it. It does stop you from taking the Poison Nova damage, which is great and all, but it is going to be a little bit limiting in terms of its applications, especially if you get caught in the Chronosphere. It's basically a wasted use. Meanwhile, Christ is going to get lifted up here. And actually, oh boy, awful team communication there as Co4ch lifts up Jesus and wastes the usage of the Reaper Scythe as a result. So, Necro going to pick up the Bounty Rune. And Dragon Lance also completed onto the Razor. So he'll be able to siege a little bit more effectively. Not sure what his next pickup is going to be. It looks like... Not sure. Is he going... Yeah, it looks like he is going to go with the Hurricane Pike. I guess. I mean, it seems a little unnecessary. But Death going to push forward and look to try and put some damage on the Bristleback, who is going to get slowed down by his own Nasal Goo. That being said, not a lot of damage here as John's still sitting at half HP. Arrow is going to connect now onto Death, and Co4ch doing what he can, but that's going to leave him prone to getting brought down by the Bristleback as he's going to lift him up. Necrophos does fall on the backside, but Janna, with the max Warhunt stacks, is probably going to be able to pick up Co4ch on the backside, as one more Quill Spray will be enough to do it. That finally connects. That being said, Meat gonna look to try and pick up the next dual win. Is gonna find it, but he is probably looking to trade her life here as a result. Cat does come through, is gonna bring her down, and Delta trying to do what he can, and will be able to pick up the Mirana on the backside. So a 2-for-3 exchange here in favor of the Radiant, once again able to pick up the Necrophos, and every time they do that, Dire just give the Radiant potential to get back into this game as AR3Z is getting charged here. And let's see if the Bristle, or if the Spearbreaker rather, continues the charge here, as it is going to connect, it looks like. Nether Strike is going to be used as well. More bashes are required though if Cat's going to try and bring down the Razor, as unfortunately Faceless Void is nowhere to be found. Cat is going to throw out the Lothars though, and AR3Z knows he's still about nearby. That's a lot of damage, and I don't think they want to try and contest here, as AR3 now picks up the double damage run. So, Cat actually doing negative damage at this point. He's going to just walk back to base, look to heal up, and maybe try and find someone else. Faceless Void continuing to move forward towards his Aghanim Scepter. Yeah, I really wish I could show the net worth here, that'd be cool. But Brimmeister, my guess is he's also probably going to go for a Hurricane Pike, as much as I disagree with that item choice. We are going to see a smoke here actually from the Radiant side, as looks like they want to try and pick up the Roshan. Co4ch just waltzing by, looks like he's also going to go for an Aghanim Scepter. Not too surprising. Could have also gone for an Aether Lens as a potential item. But overall, looks like this is going to be a potentially free Roshan for the Radiant, as they're trying to decide what they want to do, but in the end they are going to turn their attention to the Roche Pit. Co4ch still in a bit of a weird position here. He's going to throw out the 2 wards, but the Radiant are already in the pit, and at this point Co4ch is a little bit late. Razor going to pick up the Ags, and man, this is Cookie just has no idea what's going on. Razor also going to be joining the fray in a minute. But this is all a little bit too late. They're probably not going to be able to find this out. Roshan's certainly going to go to the Radiant at this point. Does finally fall here. And Faceless Void is going to pick it up now. Cookie is going to be able to get the TP out. Actually doesn't have a TP scroll. So Cookie's going to need to play some advanced ninja games, but does actually run under a ward here, so they know she's here. Cookie is going to get charged. She will almost certainly die here. As Cat comes through, she's going to lift herself up. Good reaction time there. But Ramble is going to get stunned. Cat actually going to go down thanks to the Laguna Blades, so 1-for-1 exchange. Certainly not ideal, as that was pretty much all but a free kill. And small win for the Radiant, but could have been a much bigger one regardless. It's Necrophos. Now I believe he's going for the Aghanim Scepter. Singing Meat. Has 1500. Not sure what her next pickup's going to be. Echo Saber picked up by Delta. And almost done with the Abyssal Blade too. Just needs 3000 gold. But given the Battle Fury pickup, that's going to come very quickly, along with the Echo Saber. So Delta playing kind of the Sven game, just wants to get one really big crit on a couple members of the Radiant side, and that'll pretty much be the game here. If she can make it happen. Razor still working towards the Hurricane Pike, I believe. Jesus Christ, has a Diffusal completed, so that'll be decent for helping to drain the mana of the Necrophos, who's one of the more mana-intensive heroes in the game. Jonah just have the Octarine finish, so is exceptionally tanky at this point. And Venomancer picking up a very clutch item here, actually going with the Blink Dagger. So should be in a position to get very good ultimates off in these team fights. Can actually blink into the Chronosphere and potentially just wait for it to wear out. Ramble's picking up the Haste Drone, and we're going to see the Moonlight Shadow come through. And Cookie going to be caught as Rambles able to get one stun. Delta in a very precarious spot though, and Rambles gets the first bash but cannot continue forward here. As Singing Meat, 2-man Chronosphere, Rambles very nicely put, and the Poison Nova is going to come through. Singing Meat going to get stunned. Death is going to fall once again, and Time Dilation just continuing to slow down Singing Meat. He will fall as well, and that's going to be potentially a T3 and possibly a lane of Rax, as this Radiant side are bringing things back from the ether. That being said, top side, AR3Z is looking to take a Rax of his own, and this should be a successful one as the Aghanims is going to town here. But he is going to back off, and possibly could have stayed actually. John will be good. Taking quite a bit of damage though, and Delta with the big crit is going to be able to take him out. Rambles needs an MKB, is constantly missing here. Delta could look to chump back in onto Brimmeister, might be able to take him out in 1 or 2 hits. But the charge is coming through, he's going to back off. And as a result, first lane of Rax successfully taken by the Radiant. And overall, this game is starting to potentially swing back into their favor, although anything is possible at this point. Look at buyback status just really quickly. If they're able to pick up the Necrophos, they could possibly end the game here. As they're going to transition onto the bottom T2. A little bit spread out here as Mirana is not in a position to join the fight. But the Moonlight Shadow is going to be popped once again. And Rambles, Chronosphere ready to go. But they are going to back off and look to farm up another set of items. Faceless Void could pick up an Echo Saber. I guess he could pick up an MKB. Could pick up like a Radiance if he wants to go really greedy. Let's see what else he looks to go for. Could go for a Mjolnir. Be an interesting choice. A lot of Death Pulses coming out. A lot of just general AoE hectic damage. So might be able to get a bunch of Mjolnir procs off in a fight. So that could be an interesting choice. Cat sitting on 3,000 gold. Could look to go for, I guess, like a Basher. Could go for a Heaven's Halberd, which would be very good against the Phantom Assassin. Not quite sure what the choice is there. Christ. Not sure. What is that? That's going to be a Lincoln Sphere coming out for the Mirana. So helping to protect teammates from the Laguna Blade. Lots of items that could get picked up by this Lincoln Sphere. And Boots of Travel finally going to be chosen by the Venomancer. Not sure what his next choice after this is going to be. Could go for like a Refresher Orb maybe. It's a bit of a weird choice. I don't actually think it refreshes the damage or doubles the damage on Poison Nova. I think it resets the duration. I could be wrong though. Could go for a Force Staff if he wants to be safe. Could go for... They do have a pipe potentially done. Actually, Mechanism picked up. Very late Mechanism. But Prismatic is going to go for the Guardian Greaves actually, which... You know, they say it's never too late to go Guardian Greaves. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. But who knows. Yeah, Burmeister could go for... I guess he could go for the Hurricane Pike. Just to help his teammates out, push his teammates to safety. And also, you know, the passive is nice for him. He can jump in, blink in, Hurricane Pike someone else out after he throws down the Poison Nova. Not sure what his other options are here. Ether Lens, I guess. Probably not. Could sell the Ring of Aquila and pick up another damage item. Could go for Veil. Would be a really good pickup, actually, on the Venomancer. If he can make that happen. Midnight Shadow is going to get thrown out here, but not exactly sure what the purpose was. As Singing Meat is going to go down towards a Abyssal Blade. Almost has the Basher complete. And so once that's picked up, probably going to look to force a pick. Try and find someone if possible. Christ. In a position, is going to throw down the Diffusal Blade onto Cookie. And with the Starstorm, Cookie will fall. And Jesus, with the Aghanim's upgrade, Starstorm does so much damage. Or Starcall, rather. Oh, Starstorm, I was right. Death the X. Does have the Aghanims complete. So at this point, everything's really up in the air. Could look to go for a Refresher Orb, maybe, instead of the Wand. Could go for, I guess, a Bloodstone would be an interesting choice here. If he's able to pick up one Bloodstone kill or a couple Bloodstone kills, really should be invincible at this point in the game. Razor going for... Not sure what that's going to be. Could be a Scotty. Could be a Lincoln Sphere. See what the choice is. Could go... It's certainly not going to be a Manto. That wouldn't make sense. But Air 3 just going to push in the top lane. Look to back off and do his best to farm up his next item. My guess, given he's saving 1500, would be Scotty. Just also give him a little bit more beef. Certainly wouldn't be against that. Could also go BKB. A little bit, sort of like we talked about with Phantom Assassin. Not the most amazing item this game, but decent. Especially against the Poison Nova. It's really good. Lotus Orb. It's not built out of that, so probably not going to be that. Sing Meat does have the Basher ready, so it just needs the recipe. Or the Abyssal Blade. Delta. Almost done with the Abyssal as well, just finishing up the opposite end of the Legion Commander. Just needs the Vanguard in the recipe, but that should certainly come quickly. R3Z gonna get caught out. Jesus does have the Diffusal ready, but is not gonna throw it out and just looks to back off. I do think Veil is actually going to be the next pickup here for Burmeister. Actually, very good item this game. Decent. I believe Quill Spray is physical damage. Yes, it is physical. But helps deal with the... Well, helps the Starstorm buff. Helps the Poison Nova, the Venomous Gale, all that damage. As well as the poison from his Poison Touch. So that certainly wouldn't be a bad choice. Also gives him a little bit of bonus armor. Jesus does connect with the arrow, but not going to be any follow-up here. As Jesus is probably going to finish up the Maelstrom, or the Mjolnir. And then... not sure what's after that. Possibly BKB. Possibly... Actually, Arrow barely missing a meat. As it looks like Christ wants to continue to push forward. Oh, nice blink. But I think Jesus actually saw it. And he's going to run right into death here as the Dagon is going to get blocked by the Lincoln Sphere. Dagger does commit though. And you're not going to be able to block that, my friend. Bash does come through and RNG is with him today, certainly. Is Jonah be good? Also a bit in a weird position here, as the Mechanism Guardian Greaves is going to get shipped out. So he's very tanky at this point. Dire's Courier goes down? What? I don't... Where did it die? Did a neutral pick it up? Did creeps pick it up? I am so confused about where that went down. I have no clue, but regardless, Razor also playing a little bit greedy. And the game has really slowed down. At this point, we're in a position where kind of any big team fight can probably win the game here. As Phantom Assassin is now pulled ahead in terms of net worth. Brimmeister still working towards his items, trying to be good. Probably gonna go finish up his pipe maybe, go for a Glimmer Cape as well. Ramble's gonna go for the Daedalus, so really wants to get the big crits. And the Dire side are actually gonna try and sneak a Roshan here. And if the Void, they saw someone go in, they saw it through the ward, and if Void can get a big Chronosphere off here, this is going to be unbelievable. 4-man, no, actually gets the 3-man Chronosphere, and Poison Nova only connects on to 3, didn't quite get Singing Meat on the backside. Ramble's gonna pop the BKB, and Singing Meat also gonna throw out the duel onto the Void. He will fall though, yes, it is gonna be a win, and Singing Meat is gonna go down. Cat throws out the Nether Strike, able to pick up another one as well, but AR3Z is going to go down, and that's going to be a 4-for-2 exchange. Venomancer is going to be on the sidelines for 90 seconds, but certainly a good turnaround and a very solid engagement here, as the Radiant also going to be able to pick up one. Delta is going to jump through. No, he's actually going to have to back off here. He does have the Abyssal Blade, but if he gets bashed, he's going to go down. Delta trying to run away here, does throw out the Abyssal Blade onto Jesus Christ, but is not getting enough bashes here. Blade Mail turns around. Cat does not have Nether Strike. Once again, Heart is going to pop. He's going to get a little bit of regen here. Going to get stunned up by the dagger, though. Delta is going to be able to jump to the creeps if he wants to, but no, he's going to try and juke around the tree line. Might have been a mistake there. That could cost him his life. Diffusal Blade is going to come out onto Delta, and he might go down, and that's going to be a huge kill. Down for 100 seconds. No buyback. Meanwhile, creeps are pushing in onto the T4s. And if they look to push through, Lena's going to be the only one who's up. Bristleback going to push into the base. And this might be where they try and end here. Is Jonah Be Good going to push through? And we'll have to see if he goes for the T4s or just looks to push for another lane of racks, as he does turn his attention to the T3 here. And Cookie needs to defend here, as if they lose another lane of racks, this could be disastrous. Going to get lifted up. LSA is not going to connect, a little bit late there. And Cookie going to get stunned up. He's going to go down here. As Jonah going to push forward, he's going to bring down Cookie. And he's down for now 70 seconds, no buyback. Cat going to push out on the T2 for the T3. That'll fall. That's going to be another lane of racks here. And Death and Slinging Meat are going to be the only ones up for 50 seconds. Actually, Razor is going to spawn, though. And is going to throw out the Plasma Field. But the slow coming through. Charge also connecting. Nether Strike is available. Is going to connect onto the Razor. Stun also coming through on the Mirana. That's going to be a dead Mirana now off the Reaper Scythe. Cat, someone going to TP onto him, and he's just dodging right clicks. Does have the Aegis though. Winner though is going to be called. Brimmeister throws out the Poison Nova. Didn't really connect onto anyone. Cat does have a charge. Is possibly going to go on to death here, but no, is just going to actually walk up to him. And trying to be good. Singing Meat. Open Ancient. People need to start hitting onto the buildings here. Instead, Cat gonna charge through. Might be able to pick up Death here on the backside. Janna continuing to throw out the Quill Spray. Death is probably going to fall here. And Singing Meat is now being dove on the fountain here. Janna is gonna connect one, but Delta's gonna get the stun off with the dagger here. Brimmeister is caught out of position here. Gonna get stunned up. He's gonna fall. Cat continuing to go to town on the Ancient here. And this could be an issue where they didn't necessarily focus the buildings quick enough. And Delta throwing out the Abyssal Blade. Cat gonna get stunned up. Delta going to town once again on the Spirit Breaker. Laguna gonna come through, and they do see him. He will fall. That's gonna be another one going down. 4 for 3 rather. A triple kill though being picked up by Delta. And with the Open Ancient here, Cookie actually almost goes down to the range creeps. So Ancient down to about a third HP, and Radiant side could look to just try for a backdoor here. Smoke play potentially going to be the call. Is Void going to pick up the MKB, so actually just going to go with the casual Chrysalis for now. But possibly could be a turnaround here as the Radiant didn't want to focus the buildings. And that could be a dangerous play. That could come back to bite them here, although the creeps are just starting to funnel through, and if the Dire aren't careful, this could be where the game ends on the backdoor play by the Megas. Or although at this point I guess they're just super creeps. Delta gonna need to step up, gonna need to get some big crits here. And the only issue otherwise is that there's not really a setup for the Phantom Assassin. She gets a jump, she might be hitting on a 1 or 2 people, but that's it. She's not really making use of the Battle Fury. And at some point she might actually just look to sell it. Is going to pick up an MKB of her own, I believe? Not sure who that's for. There's not really any evasion here. Yeah, I don't know. I might be missing something? No evasion. Am I just like... I'm not missing something, am I? Like, there's no... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she's just scared to go Rapier. But that might be what she has to go for. Yeah, she's gonna pick up the MKB, but overall I guess an interesting choice certainly. As Jesus does have the recipe for the Mjolnir when he reconnects. And if Legion gets caught out here, this is probably game. Faceless Void could look to try and turn around here. Does not have a Blink Dagger now. But could try and time walk through and maybe pick up one from Meister. Going for possibly a Sheepstick here. Or an Octarine Core, not sure which. But Sheepstick would actually be very good in this situation. Wow, Rambles kind of a weird position here. Might look to just try and pick up Singing Meat. As they're going to kind of do-si-do around the ward spot. But I don't even know if they saw each other there. So, looks like it is going to be Scotty for Razor, but no buyback if he looks to buy it now. And that could be a very dangerous proposition should his team end up getting wiped. Not going to be able to defend here. Death does have the Glimmer Cape. Going for the heart. But again, no buyback for him as well, and only buyback on the floor is actually going to be the Bristleback, who's pushing forward. Singing Meat gonna get the Abyssal stun, and if Bristle dies, not a big deal. Brimmeister will fall though to the side. He's down for 110 seconds. Rambles is gonna time walk out. John Be Good is still just manning up, has still 1000 HP to work with. Rambles gonna get the Chronosphere. Actually only connects onto 1 though, and disastrous though. As 3 go down in an instant. Potential big throw here. That being said, the creeps are going to start pouring in, so might not be able to make the most of it. As a 5,000 gold swing goes in favor of the Dire. Singmeat going to have to look to clear out the waves. Jonah biting off a little bit more than he could chew. And we're going to see both the Necrophos and the Phantom Assassin looking to push through, and it might be a situation where they just go straight onto the T4s. They have the open T4s here, since the T3 top went down. Cat is going to go invis here. Death, not in a position to really follow up. Actually, Cat goes down to the cleave. Ultimately goes down to the hot stop Aurora, but still, Jesus is going to get blinked on. Abyssal is not up. 20 seconds on cooldown. And Delta really, I think, should be pushing on the T4s. Force a buyback maybe onto the Bristleback. But instead, they're just going to look to pick up a lane of racks here. And certainly the safer play, but might come back to bite them. Bristleback is going to buy back here. Delta does have the Abyssal now ready to go, is going to turn onto Jesus Christ. Blinks forward. Abyssal not thrown out here. AR3Z is going to be hiding back the Bristleback. Delta is going to throw out a dagger here onto John Be Good. Is going to get slowed down. I believe that was by the Diffusal Blade here. And Jonna still in a bit of a weird position. Isn't going to get too much taken off onto the back here. But Death, if he throws out a Death Pulse, will be able to pick up the Marana here. Yes, he's going to go down. Marana unfortunately disconnects, and Delta going to get hit up by Rambles and might actually go down here. Does not have, actually does have buyback. Down for 99 seconds though. And AR3Z is going to fall as well on the backside. Brim could blink forward. Does have Poison Nova available in a couple seconds. Well, John would be good. Throwing out the nasal goo, continuing to slow down Death. Venomous Gale connects onto the Necrophos. Ramble's going to town, wants to try and bring down Death. And Death is almost certainly going to fall here. And if he goes down, this could be the game. As Brimmeister, they're trying to trade back and forth, and he will actually bring down the Necrophos. So that's going to be Delta buying back. And is looking to try and take up Elena Rax here. If she goes down, that's the game. Cookie next in line, though, as Void going to be lifted up here. Cookie falls as well, though, and Delta trying to do what he can. Needs to be focusing on the heroes, not the buildings at this point. He falls, and he does not have buyback. He's down for 120 seconds. Is Lena forced to buy back now? Singing Meat going to be trying to push out the top lane with the AC, but ultimately, between him and Lena, it's going to be very hard for them to defend at this point. As we're going to see 3 just march down mid. Mirana finally reconnects. Is going to be looking to join the fight in 10 seconds. Does not have boots travel. But with the Moon Shard, it's going to be looking to help the team. Maybe try and clear out creep waves instead. Brimmaster going to be leading the charge. Cat also pushing forward. They can actually just go straight for the throne here. As, like I said, no Phantom Assassin for 80 seconds. 7 seconds. Buyback forced out on the Razor. Death DX. Gonna do what he can here, and they just need to focus on the Ancient. They don't have enough manpower to really stop him. Do have Fortification here. A 2-man Chronosphere is gonna catch both Death and ARXC. Singing Meat coming through on the backside is gonna pop the Abyssal Blade onto Cap, but Rambles is just going to town here. Time Walk does come through. Brimmaster also going to town on the Ancient. Rambles is gonna bring down the Necrophos here, but that's gonna be the game as the Radiant are able to bring home the bacon. 50 to 48. Pretty close game, very back and forth, a lot of throws. But in the end, Radiant able to pick it up. And ultimately, I think that was just a couple of misplays on the Dire side. Is, you know, the Phantom Assassin was pretty farmed. Necrophos was unbelievably farmed, and they just let a couple team fights get away from him. Maybe dove a little bit too hard. I think the time when the Razor backed off the push mid, he either needed to back off sooner, or he needed to try and just stay for the racks. I think he could have taken the Mirana, but that would have also led to, you know, the Radiant having to be a little bit more careful with their pushes. And ultimately, I think the other big thing was I think the Radiant just had better vision that game. So overall, pretty close. Obviously, a lot of throws both sides, but ultimately decent game. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Twitter at Co4ch. You can also check me out here on YouTube, youtube.com/user/cbb692, or you can find me just by searching Co4ch in the search bar. Optionally, I will be streaming on Twitch. I'll be trying to get back into casting some more individual stuff. That's going to be on twitch.tv/cbb692. Once again, guys, thank a lot for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed. I know I haven't done a cast on my channel in a while. I will also be streaming on Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central European time on twitch.tv/esportswall. So if you miss me, you want to watch me do some more content with some other people, definitely check me out there. But like I said, I know I've been out of sort of practice for a while, haven't been really doing anything on my channel, but I'm going to be getting back to that soon enough. So thanks again for watching, guys, and talk to you later. Peace.